Today we're going to be developing an intersection with a given curve data of an existing road, US 52, and we're going to have a proposed road, bypass 4. We also have control points 1 through 5. We're going to be developing the alignments, offsets, and then we're going to be looking at a little bit about compound reverse curves today as well. And so the first thing I'm going to do is go to my settings tab, navigate to the drawing settings, ambient settings, go to angle. The template has it set to a decimal format. I like to see it in a degree minus seconds format. I'm going to apply that. Go back to the prospector. We're going to begin developing points. So we're going to go to the points creation tools, northing and easting. Points creation. Let's set our elevations to none if it's not there already. I'm going to go ahead and let the prompt for descriptions run it manual, as I'm going to be putting information in for that. We're going to set the point identity to false for sequential numbering so that I have the ability to number it the way I want to. And we're ready to begin. Northing, easting, point number, and I'm going to go ahead and call this control. So this represents a control point for me. I'm going to go ahead and enter the rest of these points. Again, point number and the description. Go ahead and finish that for the rest of them, and we'll catch up here in a minute. Okay, if you've entered all of your points now, we can go check them out. They should be in a point group called the All Points Point Group. So we're going to go open that up, check those out. We want to edit those points just to make sure they're good. We see the point values and northing, easting. Make sure your description's correct and your point number's correct. And if that's good, you're good to go. If not, just click in the field that you need to make the change in, make the change, and fix it. After you've done that, then what we're going to do is do a zoom extents so we can see our points. I'm going to go ahead and close this guy right here, and you notice I can see my points, but they're just showing our point symbol with no description on them. So we're going to do a couple things. We're going to create a new point group. New. We're going to call this our control point group. Include all of the points with the description control. Do keep in mind that points descriptions are case sensitive, so if you're uppercase, lowercase, make sure that you're following that. Check the points list. Everything should be in there. If it's not able to see it slightly, you can just open up the fields a little bit. Sometimes they're a little bit bigger and they exceed what you need to be able to see. So I'm just going to bring it out like that. So everything's good here. I'm going to apply that and go back to information. Instead of using the basic style, what I think we're going to do is grab one called station, and that's got a nice symbol to it. This has a point number or elevation description. I don't want that. I'm just going to use point number and description. Go ahead, apply that, okay that, and you should see now on the screen your changes. Point size can be affected by your scale factor here. These are annotative scales, so you can go up or down with that. Zoom extents. We also want to create another couple of point groups. We're going to create the blank group and the all points point group section. So I'm going to go to the all points, go to that properties. I'm going to change the basic style up just a little bit, make it a plus with that, apply that. I'm going to have it go ahead and give me the point number and description as well. Apply that. And you'll notice that we're still retaining, in my case, the symbol of the control, because control is higher in the hierarchy than the all points. And we're going to create another one. We'll call our blank one. include all points in this. Apply that. Go back to information, set this one to no style. We don't want the points to show up, and I don't want any kind of description showing up with this as well. Apply that, okay that. Notice everything disappears because now blank has been taken the place there. So what I'm going to do is just change the hierarchy, properties, bring blank down one level, apply that, and okay that. So sometimes when that happens, you'll notice that even though this is here and blank's there, I have to do a regen, RE, forces that back. Okay, so now we have our points in, and we're going to be dealing with more of the control issues, or the point group issues a little bit. So what I want to first do is go ahead and construct line work through the points that we've got going on here. So we're going to generate a line from 4 to 5. So I'm going to go over here to the Draw Tools, Line, Create Line by Point Object, select 4, select 5, generate my line, escape out of there. So at this point now we have points 1, 2, and 3 that are defining a curve. And if you notice on your sheet 1 that you do have curve data, and we're hoping that whoever provided this information to us actually gave us good information. So we're going to develop a curve through that. Now you have different methods. We're assuming that 1 is the PC, 3 is the PT, and 2 is the radius point. So we could use any of the normal AutoCAD curve commands to do this, or the arc command rather. And arc is not the easiest command to use, but if we look here, we see we've got 3-point start center end, start center angle, center start angle. The thing is about the arc, if you've not used it too much, it is a little bit difficult to use, and also it assumes certain things in the order in which you pick something. So for instance, if I do a start center end, the start point would be our PC essentially, the center point is our radius point. That defines the radius, and what that means is the end point will have nothing to do with the radius, it just strictly defines delta. So we have to kind of watch what we're going to do, and I'm going to use the start center end. The other thing about it is it wants to generate an arc counterclockwise, so you always have to think about that. But I'm going to go ahead and do that start center end, and what it's going to ask me for is a start point. Well, I don't have a location here that I can snap to unless I use an OSnap insert. But I can go over here to my transparent tools. Transparent tools are nice. They have point numbers, or by name, or by point object. So I'm going to use point object, and I'm going to do my start point, my center point, and my end point. And you should now see your arc. Now the thing to understand about this again is that these points are going to be explicit, point 1 and 2. That's going to define the radius. And if they're off a little bit, then your radius is off a little bit. 2 to 3, that distance has got nothing to do with radius. It just defines the angle between 2 as the vertex, 1 is the backside, and 3 as the ending vertex or ending point. If we look at this, it might look like those are right on our mark, but what will happen is if you zoom in enough, you'll see that that actually is off a little bit. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do so we can see that. I'm going to change my all points because they have a better setting. So I'm going to move my all points up and my control down. So we're going to go to all points, move that up to the top, and blank up one level. Now as I look at this, you zoom in pretty tight and you'll start to see it looks pretty good. You get to a point and can keep windowing in. And if I window in tight enough, I'm going to eventually see that that point is actually not on the end point. And you got to remember that AutoCAD's working in like 14 sig fig precision, so what that means is that point technically is not on our alignment. So you have to make a choice as a designer, engineer. Do I hold the object? Do I hold the point? In this case, it's pretty minute. I would probably just rectify it by simply just clicking on my point, grabbing his grip point and moving it to the end point of the object. So we really haven't changed anything. We do actually, though, have a defined radius based on what that arc was from control point 1 to 2. So let's list it and just kind of see if it does make sense to us and see if we can live with it. So what we're going to do is go to the Analyze. We're going to go to the Inquiry section here, Line Arc Information. Click on this. I'm going to hit F2 to open up my window. And notice tangent should agree with what we have on our paper. Arc length, delta, all of that. So it does look pretty good. So I'm going to assume that we've got a good position right there. So I'm going to go ahead and close that window. I'm going to go back to my Home tab. I do have a point here that's going to be an intersection point. That is point number 6. If you look on the second sheet, we're going to call that. So what we're going to go ahead and do is fix that in right now. I'm going to go to my points by manual in this case, and what we'll do is snap it to the intersection, call it point 6, and if you want to call it a control point, that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and call it control. And notice it's on the all points point group, but it will also should occur up in the other point. Now both of these recognize the fact that we've added a point and that it isn't actually updated yet, so we're just going to simply go ahead and update both of those. Close the points. Okay, so we have most of our points created now that we need, and we're ready to go ahead and define alignments. So this should becoming pretty simple at this point. What we're going to do is go to the alignments. I'm going to do a create alignment from objects, select my bypass. My direction is correct, so I'm going to accept that. If it's not, reverse it. In the description, I'm going to call this bypass 4. It is a center line. The starting station, which is very, very easy to forget, is that, and I do that all the time, but you can actually fix that after the fact. We're not going to associate it with a site. This is a proposed alignment. I'm going to label it add no curves, but I will have it delete existing entities, so I'm going to hit OK. And there's my proposed alignment. I'm going to do the same thing for the existing alignment. Create alignment from objects. The control point 1 is our defining point. Enter. It should be going towards the west, towards point 3. It's increasing station. And we will call this US 52. This has a station starting point of the PC, which is 2140.67. This is an existing alignment. I'm not going to have it add curves, it already has them. Okay, that, and there's our alignments. So we now have the skeleton or the framework of what we need, and we're ready to start to develop the rest of this. So we're ready to go into that second page and stay there for a while.